We've seen little bits of spoilers. You know, we've seen that Kyle Rittenhouse said he supports BLM. We've seen that well just on Twitter I saw today he implied an understanding of systemic racism, which is that's I am all sorts of excited. Hassan said this was a TOS landmine. We can't not cover this. This is of the utmost political importance. Now listen, okay?
Good evening and
listen, I just want to make it clear, okay? The timeline that we live in is probably not the timeline where Kyle Rittenhouse turns out to be based or becomes super based with time or whatever. That's probably not the one that we live in. However, it is a possible timeline. We don't actually know. You can never know. Oh, the Legal Eagle video was TOS minefield. Okay, that makes more sense. That makes much more sense. I didn't know why they'd go over anything TOS related here on the interview. It'd be a bit weird to cut between the interview and, like, you know, shots of people dying back at the actual Kenosha protest. Anyway, let's see how it goes. Let's fucking go.
welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. In retrospect, it's remarkable just how dishonest, how thoroughly and intentionally dishonest the media coverage of the Kyle Rittenhouse story turned out to be. All of it was a lie. Rittenhouse was not a white supremacist. He was never in a militia. He never crossed state lines with a firearm. The protest in Kenosha was not peaceful. It was a riot, chaotic and violent. Many of the rioters, by the way, carried guns. Rittenhouse was hardly alone. Rittenhouse didn't go to Kenosha looking for trouble. His father lived there. Rittenhouse himself worked as a light.
Okay, so I'm not here for the Tucker Carlson bit, but most of what he's saying right now is disingenuously framed. A couple of pointers on that one. Do we want to go over every point? No. I just want to focus on the interview. We've gone over all these talking points.
Lifeguard in Kenosha. On August 25th of last summer, Rittenhouse went downtown to stand guard over a car lot. Here's the context. The night before, police...
All right, we're getting to the interview. Here we go. Yes!
Bewildered at points during our interview, thinking back over the last year and what happened to him. That's probably why. A lot of the things he assumed were true about this country turned out not to be true at all. So in that way, he speaks for many of us. Here's Kyle Rittenhouse.
Let's go.
So tell me, Kyle, how...
If this is good, I will no longer call him Kyle Shittenhouse. That's my pledge, you know. I'm willing to break bread.
You wound up in Kenosha that day.
Well, it actually started on August 24th. I was working my job as a lifeguard at the Recplex in Kenosha County, and then the riots were still going on, and a curfew was implied. So I went to Dominic Black's house, and I stayed the night over there.
Race already coming up.
Saw the videos of the riots and the arson going on.
What'd you think of it?
It was upsetting because Kenosha is my community, and I just was upset seeing my community up in flames.
Yeah, I bet you were. So you're at your friend's house that night. You've come back from working as a lifeguard.
Yes.
And then you decide to go in. First, you're cleaning up graffiti, correct?
Yes. So we stay the night. I stay the night, August 24th. We wake up in the morning and we're talking. We're like, let's go help our community. Let's go see what we can do. And we ended up at Rittenhouse Central High School where we were cleaning graffiti.
I'm getting like involuntary sympathy, but because I can hear the quivering in his voice from nervousness. It's not like he's a trained media figure or anything like that, you know. I can actually hear it. Me too, and I hate it. Yeah, well, you know.
For a couple hours, and then we met with the owners of Car Source, and we offered to protect their business from fires, making sure the rest of their other two properties didn't get burned down like they did the night prior, and they agreed. We came back. We went back to Dominic's house and hung out there for a little bit, and then we went to Car Source to help protect the property and make sure it didn't set on fire again.
So you get there, what do you see?
When I get there, I see in the beginning, the morning of Rittenhouse Central, I see just spray paint everywhere. I see smoke coming from the Car Source that was burnt down, and it was quite upsetting. because that was somebody's business that got destroyed.
Yeah. So you said to the people who own the car lot, I want to protect your cars, and they said, yes, please.
I said, hey, if you, I asked if they needed any help, and they said, yes, if you can.
Didn't the owners of the car stores deny they asked for help? Did they not deny that? Was the defendant's claim then that they're only denying it now because they don't want to get sued for their relationship? Like, they denied it, but there's evidence they did. Yeah, it's entirely possible they accepted the help, and then they saw, oh my god, there is a national media spectacle taking place around the behavior of one of these kids that we asked to be armed guards for our, oh wait, nope, we never asked. Nope. So yeah, I don't know. So if there's evidence they is, but then they denied it afterwards, you know.
Where were the police?
I'm not sure really.
Always a good question.
They have a hard job,
For sure.
but I didn't really think they got the support they needed. The National Guard should have been called August 23rd, but the city of Kenosha failed the community. The governor, Tony Evers, failed the community, and there should have been a lot more resources to help with that.
That's for sure. So,
I won't say I necessarily disagree with that, right? There's nothing wrong with using police for proper riot control. But so often riot control is a euphemism for cracking down on protests. We saw that in BLM all over the place, you know? Or they'll like shut down an entire protest because like one dude's throwing a rock at a police line. But in concept, the act of using police to just mitigate damage and violence, that's acceptable. The police in America fucking suck, dude, when it comes to this shit. I don't know. I there's probably a ton of like evidence on this that like I'm not aware of, but like this is my intuitive take, okay? I think it's because they're fucking pussies. I think it's because cops are big fucking hogs squeezed into little fucking military surplus, and they stand out there with their legs out, their fucking balls hanging down, ready for war, and then they see a riot and they're like, wait, shit, I'm not walking away from the fucking gigantic fucking armored car that I and my lads came out with. I'm just gonna sit here, and if I get in there, I'm only doing so in the most aggressive way possible so that we can mitigate the possibility for violence being used against us. Like, seriously. It's just like, that's my intuitive take. I do know that we've had severe criticisms in the US of how the police use, what tactics they use to break up riots, you know? Yeah, and they funnel protesters into situations that like maximize the likelihood of violence, you know? You've seen that, right? Where police walls will move in and they'll try to like cordon the protesters off into a place where the protesters either have to completely break and run, or if they stay, they get cornered and they either fight or get gassed. Like, that shit significantly increases the likelihood. What was that called? Kettling? Is that the term? Isn't that what they did with the LA riots? Well, the LA riots, they did a couple of things there. They also funneled mostly black protesters into the, Koreatown so that POC would kill each other. It's the whole thing. Anyway, yeah. What was I saying? Oh, I agree with Rittenhouse and Tucker Carlson. Fuck cops. There we go. Didn't think we'd agree on that.
You've been criticized for carrying a firearm into the scene, but it's obvious from the tape that a lot of people, you were not the only one with a firearm. There were rioters with firearms. Was that obvious to you?
Yes.
So you saw other people with guns?
Tucker was waiting for more.
I did. There was a lot of people on both. Like, there were rioters with firearms. I remember one very distinctly. Joshua Zeminski was walking around with a pistol in his hand all that night with Joseph Rosenbaum.
Where did you first see Rosenbaum?
The first time I saw Rosenbaum was...
Now, the term rioters here is valid. Like you can go look at what was happening in the footage with Rittenhouse. There was rioting. It wasn't some like big group of people saying, fuck 12, whatever. It was rioters. And it is bad that rioters would be running around with guns out there. But I don't think that's a problem you solved. I don't think bad guy with a gun is solved by good guy with a gun. That's a myth. I don't think that solves these problems.
The first time he threatened to kill me, it was at the corner of the car source lot that I was at primarily that night, and I was asking people if they needed medical, and he came up to me and Ryan Balch, and he said, "If I catch any of you MFers alone, I'm going to effing kill you."
Had you ever seen him before?
I have not.
So you'd never seen this guy. He walks up and threatens to kill you out of nowhere.
Yes. It was.
That is a Sigma move. Not good, but Sigma.
It was quite shocking. I was like, why would somebody threaten to kill me? I'm just asking.
Wasn't that guy like mentally unwell? Yeah, it was. I think the issue here is, and this is like bait that a lot of people have fallen into, it's that whatever issues you have with Rittenhouse, there's absolutely no reason why anyone would ever have to like broadly defend the like some of the people like Rosenbaum and shit, you know? I think you know, the mainstream media has done this a little bit. I think some people have like fallen into that trap, you know? It's done on both sides, because conservatives will be like, Rittenhouse is a hero. He killed like the pedophile and like, well, that's not relevant to the case, you know? But then wasn't there a person on Twitter who got ratioed saying like, rest in peace, Rosenbaum? You know what I mean? Who was that? They posted like a news screenshot of Rosenbaum, and they were like, rest in peace or something, and it got viral, but in the bad way, you know? Yeah.
Asking if people need help on both sides. I was there just to help anybody that needed, and shockingly, the only people I helped that night were rioters.
What kind of sense did you get from Rosenbaum? I mean, that sounds deranged.
When he threatened to kill me, I was like,
damn,
what the heck just happened?
He really let that one hang.
Nobody's ever threatened to kill me up until that point. And I was like, that's not something you say to somebody.
How long after that was it that he tried to grab your rifle?
It was about an hour and a half later. And then there was actually a second time he said to the group, he said, this is the second time he threatened to kill everybody. He said, I'm gonna effing kill you. I'm gonna cut your hearts out, you effing N-words.
Cut your hearts out?
No, I stand by the Sigma claim. Again, I'm not defending this, okay? You know, Dracula was a Sigma, but you have to stab him in the heart in order to free the world of evil. It's really just sort of a broad categorization. I don't believe this shit. Well, I really don't think yeah, I really don't think that what he's saying here is that outlandish. Wait, so Rosenbaum was the right? Okay. I feel like people are... I've talked about this a little bit, okay? And I maintain this, all right? The broader circumstances by which this whole... the Rittenhouse-ing took place are worthy of severe criticism, okay? The idea that, like, oh, there are riots and protests and arsonists, we should go down as a militia fucking group of dudes with guns and just do vigilante defense. Like, you can levy a great deal of criticism on that. However, okay, it is a little odd to me. Like, I really don't think, given the facts of the case, that, like, Rosenbaum being somewhat psycho is totally out of line, you know? Like, that seems to me like a thing I could believe a little bit.
Yes.
Did any of the rioters try and calm him down or stop him?
What I noticed is the rioters were trying to, like, they were, like, disassociating with him because he was, like, spewing the N-word around, and they just didn't seem to want to have anything to deal with him, the rioters.
Wait, was that the thing? Was that the thing that marks him? It was like, he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, kid. And people were like, well, you know, okay. All right. And he said the N-word. I guess they remember they're at a BLM protest. They're like, well.
So he comes, he tries to grab your rifle, he gets shot. You decide at that point, unless I'm misremembering, you want to go turn yourself into the police.
It wasn't a tactical
Yes.
N-word.
After I shoot Mr. Rosenbaum, he tried to grab my gun. I was running away. There was a gunshot behind me. After I shoot him, I run around the car because I was going to go render first aid to him. I wasn't able to because then there was...
No. Hold on. Vosh, this fucking disgusting dude. What are we being disgusting about, Audius?
Mob forming and
We're not
calling for my execution to get him and to kill him.
People are running.
And that's when I try to run to the police line and get to the police.
Oh, and now they're killing.
And then I am attacked again.
But the
all right, we did it. We made our way out of the the danger zone. Why are you platforming? Why are you platforming this? Adius, is this a joke? Little known interview with Kyle Rittenhouse and Tucker Carlson, unbeknownst to the public until signal boosted by the most powerful man on earth, Vosh. No, actually, I'm not really interested in the circumstances of the case because, fuck, I've said all this already, okay? What I care about right here is framing being done by Kyle. That's what I care about the most, okay? So far, the way in which he has spoken has actually been remarkably free of the kind of moralistic, hyperbole or grandstanding that you would get from Tucker Carlson, Like, if Kyle wanted to sit here and go, I was seeing my community being burnt to the ground and I knew that I had no choice, like, he could get away with that here easily. This crowd would eat that up. Absolutely, they would. So I'm interested. I want to see like how the pace of the interview continues,
by the guy who kicked you.
By Jump Kick Man, yes.
Whose identity we didn't know. It turns out the prosecution knew it and hid it.
I don't
know anything about this.
So we found out November 7th, the prosecution, we went into the judge's chambers and the prosecution said, we identified Jump Kick Man, and the prosecution threw a fit a little bit. They didn't want us to interview him. They were like, well, he's a victim, and didn't want my investigators or my attorneys to interview him or ask him questions. They just wanted to do it private, non-recorded, and the judge said, no, it's going to be recorded. And then a couple hours later, they say, oh, he asked for immunity and we're not going to give it to him, so we're not going to be calling him as a witness.
Yeah, well, probably didn't want to talk about his criminal record.
Yeah.
So you're running, trying to get to the police lines. You see.
Wait, okay, again, I'm not a lawyer. If Jump Kick Man doesn't want to be a witness, he doesn't have to be a witness, right? He wasn't on trial. No charges have been brought to him. Like I don't know what, yeah. You can subpoena people. Yeah, but wouldn't that be up to the court? If he has immunity, he has to be witness, but he hasn't been giving immunity, right? The prosecution could have subpoenaed him. What about the defense? Because the defense would have wanted to, right? Not the prosecution. He has charges and said he would only be a witness if he got immunity. Okay, I don't know what the circumstances are of whether or not you'd want to, drop the subpoena pill. Pigeon, you are in front of the screen. I can't see about a quarter of the. This good for you? Do you like being incredibly annoying? Are you gonna move? I know you don't know how monitors work, but they're very important for my job. So what if we just stayed? What if we just went into the sweater like that, and then we stayed there forever? How about that? Okay, very good.
See the mob coming after you, let's execute him, they're saying. And then out of nowhere, you get dropped to the ground by the guy who kicks you in the head. Mm. Did you see him coming?
I did.
Oh, I want to say, by the way, this is another one of the big, moral pointers that you can make, right? The first one is Rittenhouse shouldn't have been here in the first place because vigilante, malicious shit is not a solution to these kinds of problems. That's the first one. The second one, I think, is, and this is something that I have no data on because this is such a specific thing. I guess I would have to defer to like an expert what their opinion would be. But when it comes to after he killed Rosenbaum, his decision to move towards the police with the gun, like everyone else could just think he's an active shooter, you know, or that he might be like taking people out, you know, like with very little provocation. I don't know if it would have been better for him to stay there with the body, like calling the police saying, "Hey, you need to be here now, or there's going to be more death." I don't know what the right answer is there, but my gut answer, my feeling on this is that staying there is definitely the best option. Because otherwise, from everyone else's perspective, it just looks like you shoot one person and then keep moving, you know? Anyway.
To backtrack a little bit, actually, as I'm running, Gage Gross.
The prosecutor indicated he should have stayed. Yeah, okay, that's just my feeling. I don't have like, I don't think there's like a research paper on that.
Scroots came up to me with his phone and put it in my face, and he said, "What are you doing? Did you just shoot that man?" And I told him, "I'm going to the police." And he said, "Oh, okay," and ran off, and I kept running to get to the police. And that's when Anthony Huber strikes me with the skateboard.
Okay, we were the minefield over here. Jesus.
As I'm running, before I'm on the ground for the first time, and then I'm hit with a rock by somebody in a white tank top, and that's how I end up on the ground. And I have 4 people around me from what I remember, and I move my firearm in their direction, and they...
Legal Eagle indicated there's no law to retreat in this case, so it wouldn't have been relevant if he didn't drop his gun. No, I'm not talking about legally. I'm just saying, like, morally, you know? Legally, there may have been no duty to retreat, but morally, I think, you know, you can make an argument that would be a better way of mitigating future, you know, harm.
Back off with their hands up so I don't shoot them. And then Jump Kick Man keeps coming, and that's when I fire 2 shots at Jump Kick Man.
Don't do it. You're gonna cut to the fucking...
Wow. And you miss him, and he kicks you.
Yes.
Then what happens?
Well, he jumped and kicked.
After Jump Kick Man is running off,
I love that name.
Anthony Huber comes up and he grabs the barrel of my gun, and then he hits me with his skateboard, holding his trucks, and that's when I shoot him 1 time.
Don't do it.
Where did he hit you with the skateboard?
He hit me in the back of the head, in the neck, the back of the head, towards the neckline.
Did you think you were going to be killed at that point?
I did.
Then what happens?
And then after Mr. Huber attacks me, Mr. Grosskreutz puts his hands up, and then I have my rifle pointed in his direction for about a second, and then once I lower my rifle, I noticed...
Killed by a skateboard? Guys, please don't make like super bad arguments. You can absolutely be killed with Vincent Valentine, I could kill you with a skateboard with 1 strike, very easily. With 1 hand. They're large, heavy, blunted objects that have a lot of inertia at the tip. You absolutely could do that. You could powderize a person's skull. His assessment that, yeah, non-skaters wouldn't get it. His assessment that he felt like he was going to die under these circumstances is valid. Regardless of any moral claims to be made on how he got there or what is legal or not legal, in that moment, his belief that he could die any moment is a valid one. That's one that a reasonable person could arrive at. Wait, did he start shooting before or after they attacked him? After the Rosenbaum was shot, he started shooting after he was being jumped by the pack of people towards the end. He fell, and they were closing in on him, and it's fairly obvious Delta Squadron attack formation.
That my ejection port is opened about 1 inch, and Mr. Grosskreutz said I pulled the charging handle, which never happened. I hit the forward assist to close the ejection port, and he sees me doing that or something, and this time he runs at me, and he has his gun pointed directly at my head.
Did you see the gun?
I did.
What, do you think he was going to shoot you?
I did. He had it pointed directly at my head, and that's when I shoot him 1 time, and he is no longer a threat to me at that point because he ran off after I fired that shot.
Did you realize you'd hit him?
Wow, I'm glad I pulled away from this set of
later.
footage.
So then what happens?
There is a person directly in front of me, and I point my rifle in their
You
direction, and he
fucking-
puts his hands up, and he's backing up, and I then turn around, start going to the police, and then I hear shots behind me, and I turn around and briefly raise my rifle to see if I'm being shot at. And then I realize I can't see who's shooting at me, so then I turn around and go back to the police car, towards the police line.
It's just, hearing this, it's just hard to believe this is happening in an American city.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or does Kyle just seem like a naive kid who's gotten way over his head and extremely incorrigible? Well, that's the reason why I'm interested in this, okay? Because there are actually three routes here, okay? Basic routes, basic tendencies, okay? And one of them is, and I maintain, by the way, that the act of showing up as part of like a vigilante militia in response to like racial protests, even if they are like that city just riots, basically, I maintain that's an element of white supremacy in a sociological sense. But in one route, Kyle Rittenhouse is basically just like a little like baby racist. Thin blue line, proud boy, okay sign, rattin'. He's 100% on board, or at least mostly on board. He went down there because he was looking to stir up some shit, get yeah, boy. And the idea that what I'm describing right now is unlikely is ahistorical. What I'm describing right now is a good chunk of American history is the person I'm currently describing. But we're always working off inferences. The second option, I think, the second general trend is that he's a conservative, okay, but he's a naive kid. He does want to help his community. Has he internalized a lot of like far right perspectives on how to do that, how to help the community? Yes, he has. But his motives are well-intentioned, and things escalated and spiraled out of control as a combination of naivete, bad circumstances, and very poor initial decision making. And then the third, and this is the one we're all hoping for, is that he actually went there to kill white people because they were giving the BLM protests a bad name. That's actually the ultimate. Now, that's probably not the one we're in, but that would be the ultimate scenario, I guess. That would be the Sigma Kyle. This interview is giving me naive attempt at helping the town touched by the biases and perspectives of conservative vibes, but it's also one interview, I don't think hanging out with the Proud Boys or doing okay signs with them is just a haha meme. It could be he did that because he was getting hate bombed at the time and he would just, take opportunities to hang out with people who quite liked him. It could be that it was just, young, dumb shit. It's, again, we're always working off of inferences. And yeah, the fact that he's very young does mean that even if it's been a year and a half, it's possible that all the way back then, he was motivated by a very different set of perspectives than he is now. So, it's difficult to say. Destiny was right. You really do slowly move over positions. This is pretty much in line with what I've been saying. You can go watch the old stuff if you want. Destiny took a decade to move over to being a progressive on almost every issue I talk with him about. So, if anything, it's debts owed.
So then you finally get up, you hear shots, you turn to see who's shooting at you, and then you finally make it to the police line.
Yes. Once I make it to the police cruiser,
here, I think.
the police officer says, "Get back, get back, get back." One of them has a gun out and the other has pepper spray pointed at me. And I say, "Hey, I just had to shoot somebody. I just had to shoot somebody." And then they say, "Go home." And I didn't know this until...
Go home?
Yeah. The officer said...
This isn't on Rittenhouse. This is a broader criticism. Under no circumstances, literally zero, would a black man with a gun who said, "I just had to kill people," get to walk away from there. And the cops would be like, "Yeah, dude, whatever, just go home, no big." Hey, just like, what's your name? Oh, you don't have to tell us. Whatever, you know, it's 0%. So but that's not on Rittenhouse, of course.
Said to go home. I don't think he knew what happened or heard me. There's a lot of chaos going on.
Yes.
But apparently he pepper sprayed me. You can see it in the video, but I don't remember being pepper sprayed by him.
What? Oh yeah.
So then what happened?
I say, okay, I go back to the car source lot number 2. We've been referring to them. Car source 1 is the one that got burnt down. Car source 2 is the one that I was at primarily the entire night, and car source 3 is the one where I was attacked by Mr. Rosenbaum. I go back to car source lot number 2, and I tell everybody there what happened. I said I had to do it. I was just attacked. I was dizzy. I was vomiting. I couldn't breathe.
Shitting.
And I was like, I wanted to turn myself in Kenosha. I wanted to turn myself into the police in Kenosha, but I wasn't able to because they weren't accepting visitors apparently with the barricades and the fence up. So we ended up.
That is very strange, isn't it? It's like he kills people and he's like, well, I can't. They won't let me turn myself in. How do I like? That has got to be a very odd problem to have. That's just not a conflict that I think most people would have experienced in their lifetime. What an odd thing to be inconvenienced by.
Turning myself into the Antioch Police Department.
So you drove back across state lines, as we're now calling it. Funny. You couldn't even turn yourself in.
No, it was like I had to go to Antioch Police Department, which, to my understanding, is the closest police department to Kenosha.
Why do you think people were burning car source? What does that have to do with civil rights?
I don't know. I think it was opportunists taking advantage of the BLM movement. I agree with.
That's nice language right there. Opportunist taking advantage of the BLM movement. That's actually really good language right there. Pretty much identical to what I would say if asked that question, I think.
The BLM movement, I agree. Everybody has the right to protest and assemble, but I do not agree that people have the right to burn down. I don't appreciate that people are burning down American cities to try to spread their message. I think there's other ways to go around and do that.
Burning cities, it does align more with the like, oh my god, all of Portland is ash. But altogether, I think this language is pretty responsible, you know? Again, the reason why I'm especially interested by this, now, Rittenhouse said he supported BLM before the Rittenhousening took place. Before that even happened, he said, but since then, he has experienced 18 months of, I mean, let's be clear, like absolute hatred from the left, and love bombing from the right. So I would assume, and I would think it almost likely that after all that, you know, he's talking to Tucker Carlson, that he would be like, oh yeah, you know, the BLM riot lads are destroying America, and only by doing, like, you know, like you'd really play into it. It's interesting that he's not. You know, there are people who in chat who have been saying that this is like a cynical move, like he's just trying to avoid being ubiquitously hated for the rest of his life. But I don't know if it's that, really, because if that was the case, this seems like an ineffective strategy. Liberals aren't going to change their minds about Kyle Rittenhouse, okay? They'll hate him till they die. I think the vast majority of people with a negative opinion on Rittenhouse will maintain that perspective, absent some huge public action. So this, I mean, it could be part of a master plan. It could be a very deliberate effort and engaging in responsible language so that people who do pay attention to all this stuff regard him in good faith in the future. Or it could legitimately be that he's secretly a communist.
Well, I agree with that completely. So you turn yourself into
have him on
what do you
stream?
think's going to
I would
happen
love
at that point to you?
I didn't know. I was in shock. My head was spinning from being hit in the head multiple times. I had some minor injuries. I just didn't know. I didn't know I was going to be arrested for defending myself because everything was on video. But part of the...
Well, no. Even if everything's on video, even if it's very clear self-defense, you still do get arrested usually, I think. It has to be some extraordinarily cut and dry shit for you to not get arrested at all as a result of that.
The reason I think I was arrested is because of the mob mentality. And they were like, oh, yeah, we're just going to arrest him, even though there was videos already out showing me being attacked and having to defend myself.
So when was it that you were arrested?
Definitely disagree with that.
I was arrested on August 25th at around 6 a.m. I was formally arrested without a criminal complaint being drafted. They didn't know what they were charging me with yet. They just arrested me.
At home?
At Antioch Police Department.
Yeah? In situations like that, don't they normally arrest a person like associated with murders? Like, or sorry, not murders, killings. Like, if you've killed people, they'll be like, okay, we're taking you in. Like, we'll talk to the prosecutor and see what charges are warranted here. But they at least take you in. Like, they don't, they don't need to bring charges against you if in circumstances like that. I don't think. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but I think that's pretty typical stuff.
What did your parents say when you called them and told them what had happened?
I didn't call my mom after I saw her, and she was in shock. She was like, she wanted to go into hiding, and I said, no, the right thing to do would be to turn myself in. I didn't do anything wrong.
So you knew that from the very beginning?
Wait, did I hear that right?
She was like, she wanted to go into hiding, and I said, no, the right thing to do would be to turn myself in. I didn't.
Damn, keeping her in line. Holy shit. Yep. Sit. No, Mom. I will not cheat the American justice system of their process. I'm going in.
Do anything wrong.
So you knew that from the very beginning?
I knew that. A lot of people are like, oh, Kyle had time to meet with his attorneys to come up with this amazing defense of self-defense. No, that's not the case. This has been 100% self-defense from the beginning, and I didn't know there was 100 cameras. I knew but I did know I was attacked, and I defended myself.
What do you think would have happened to you if there hadn't been the amount of video that there is?
I can't even imagine. I don't think we'd be sitting here right now having this talk, Tucker.
That's for sure. You'd never get out.
Does help to have video footage. Where was the? This is edited, isn't it? Where's the clip? Where was that quote from Rittenhouse? I've actually been looking on my Twitter feed for it, but where was that quote from Rittenhouse where he was like that a black person might not have had access to the resources? Did they not include it? Did they edit it out? He didn't even have the bit. Well, it's been cut up into clips here. Hold on. If you think we're done. Oh, yes, here we go. Kyle Rittenhouse tells Tucker why he lost faith in justice. Oh, we've got so much. Hold on. This is the first one. Kyle Rittenhouse is a message for Biden. Oh my God. Kyle Rittenhouse tells Tucker about future plans. Damn, they're shameless. Cutting this all up like this? Oh my God. Watch all of them? Yeah, we're watching the damn thing. What do you think we're gonna do? Not watch all of the things? We're gonna watch all the things. Vosh here. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be included in the clips. Hold on, yeah.
I'm not a racist person. I support the BLM movement. I support peacefully demonstrating. And I believe there needs to be change. I believe there's a lot of prosecutorial misconduct, not just in my case, but in other cases. And it's just amazing to see how much a prosecutor can take advantage of somebody. Like, if they did this to me, imagine what they could have done to a person of color who doesn't maybe have the resources I do, or is not widely publicized like my case.
Damn! Rittenhouse! Throwing it out there, not just like black guy, but person of color too, employing the woke terminology, kicking it out there. Absolutely. This kid is confusing me. Yeah, well, I mean, I try to keep in mind that when I was 18, I was giving mixed signal sometimes. But so far, if we're taking a look just at what we've seen from this interview, I don't think there are any inconsistencies in what he's saying necessarily. Vosh, longtime fan, but shit take, he's literally a murderer. Not, well, you can't really say literally because he got off, but no. The greatest charge I would have thought was warranted in his case, given the facts, would have been like a lesser manslaughter charge. He's a killer. He killed people. But that's not the same as being a murderer. I guess a murderer? Oh, geez, guys. If you're gonna be really salty about it, you should do it on Twitter and don't associate yourself with me. He literally is. No, stop. Okay, hold on. We need to calm down. Okay, you can make the claim that you disagree with the self-defense ruling, and you can make the claim that you think it was morally bad for him to be there or how he handled it, which I do. Him being there was bad. It was wrong. And him not staying by the first body, in my opinion, was bad. It was wrong. But if you're the term murder is very much not legally applicable here, and I don't think it's fair to use it generally because it usually, at least in a colloquial sense, implies premeditation, which is clearly not the case here. Like unlawful killing, premeditated killing. Maybe there's a universe where the self-defense didn't bite and he got like a lower tier manslaughter charge, and I guess they could have worked that argument out. But the whole like all caps he was a murderer shit in chat is just like unworkable. Anyway, I'm interested in the rest of this. Feels like you've changed your position. What have I changed it on? No, the killing was premeditated. The shootings all fit the element of murder. How are they premeditated? No, stop. I don't want to talk with you guys about this. Vosh, he wanted a legal kill, absolutely, and enables white supremacy and fascism legal. Guys, this is not. If you think he was going down there looking for trouble, which is absolutely a possibility, the highly charged moralistic language that you're using here is just not something I think that you can reasonably defend given the available information. Why is chat arguing from emotion? Maybe this is honest to God, like I'm not taking the blame for this, by the way, because I had one debate 18 months ago or something with Destiny, after which I said that I was mostly making a moral argument, not a legal one, and I haven't talked about Rittenhouse at all since. So, have I ever brought up Rittenhouse in the interim between that and like here? I don't really think so, because I don't care. I don't know what like continuous coverage has instilled all of you with such a strong, emotionally rooted perspective on this. To summarize, he shouldn't have been here. It wasn't good to come here. He was ready for a fight, but somebody else aggressed on him. He did everything wrong leading up to it, but he was attacked and had a right to defend himself. Yeah, the specifics on whether you have a right to defend yourself are really, really, really determined by like a bunch of minutia. With the Rosenbaum, again, I didn't follow the case that specifically. With the Rosenbaum stuff, I forget. Afterwards, though, he was absolutely chased down, even if it was morally wrong, or at least irresponsible for him to leave the first body. I mean, if people are chasing you down. Remember, the whole submit to the mob thing is a moral, not legal argument. It's about whether or not self-defense is a metric you can use to holistically manage all elements of interpersonal violence. Because theoretically, you could legitimately enact self-defense in ways that would lead to enormous numbers of people dying. World War I was self-defense. I don't know. You can scale that up forever and ever. So morals don't matter? No, it's that All right, I could do this forever. I love you guys. Listen, let's just watch the rest of these, huh? If the skateboard guy had killed Rittenhouse, would that be self-defense? If he had, the argument would have been whether or not the skateboard guy thought that Kyle Rittenhouse posed a legitimate threat. And I honestly, and again, not a lawyer, feel like you could make that case pretty well. Because from skateboard guys, this is literally the submit to the mob argument. Both of them could potentially act in self-defense with legal and possibly moral justification, depending on the circumstances, you know? Again, I don't know how the court case would have gone necessarily, but depending on how it was framed and associated circumstances, you know. Are we good? Can we? Yeah. This is why self-defense isn't like the be-all end-all, you know? If Kyle had been the one to die that night to another person, it's possible that person could have gotten off as well. It's not always a who was in the bad, who was in the good situation when it comes to self-defense. It's why are you being such a logic, bro? Because this is how self-defense works, you fucking clowns, okay? This is not you can make claims about Rittenhouse's growth and political biases informing the behavior that he engaged in. But if you're going to talk about the specifics of the killings and the self-defense and what have you, then you have to be specific, because if you're not being specific about it, then you can't reasonably arrive at an understanding of who's acting in self-defense. I said this when I put out the video, what was it, a week ago? I said, I'm 50-50 in whether the self-defense will work. Don't care too much either way, because as I've said many times, I get bored. But it really hinges on whether or not the prosecution is able to argue that Kyle's decision to be there counted as him instigating the circumstances by which violence then took place. They did not. The evidence they provided was, in the jury's, and I feel like reasonably, not sufficient to arrive at that conclusion. So there you are. Okay? Can we just... Please? Oh, I was trying to tell a joke with the logic, bro. Oh, okay. Well, good thing I don't ban people that much. All right, let's find out. A message for Biden. Let's go.
Rittenhouse doesn't seem eager to talk about
No,
it.
we don't care about you. We care about the hero Rittenhouse, who bravely killed 2 white people, thus making it so that there are more black people, you know, proportionally.
Arrested, what happens then?
Once I'm arrested, I go to Depke Juvenile Facility, and I gotta say thank you to them for their professionalism and
the jailers,
just a little bit.
The guards at Depke. They were the utmost professional people I've ever met.
Really?
Exactly. They were some of the most professional people I've ever met. It was amazing. Like, they treated me with respect, and they didn't like talk down to you like you've seen like in some videos. They just treated me like I was a human.
How long were you there?
I was in jail for 87 days, and this follows in with Lynn Wood, who
Lynn Wood
was
Shu linked something, and I have your link pulled up. But yeah, Lynn Wood was the original lawyer for Rittenhouse. Now, you might remember Lynn Wood. He's the fucking lunatic. Lynn Wood is the guy who got really big on, what was it, Parler or Telegram? Was it Parler or Telegram? What was it? With insane QAnon. Yeah, and apparently he was stealing money from Kyle or something. He was calling for civil war. He was saying, like, you know, Trump actually won, blah, blah, blah. Like full-on massive, insane shit. Oh, yeah, he called Marjorie Taylor Greene a communist. He's beyond the pale. I wonder, I assume that Lynn Wood approached Rittenhouse's family and not the other way around.
Raising money on my behalf, and he held me in jail for 87 days, disrespected my wishes, put me on media interviews, which I should never have done, which he said, oh, you're going to go talk to the Washington Post, which was not a good idea, along with John Pierce. They said I was safer in jail instead of at home with my family. And then after I'm bailed
Your
out,
lawyer said that?
My lawyer said that, John Pierce and Lynn Wood.
87 days is a long time to be in jail.
It was it was very long. I lost a lot of weight in there. I since then gained it back.
I know the feeling.
Yeah. But 80.
Holy shit, I cannot believe she wants to fuck this man. I'm sorry, I need to see that laugh again. I'm sorry. I think that was actually the real Tucker Carlson laugh, because you have to remember that he is a trust fund Swanson food heiress, you know? He is like underneath the phony populism, he would like buy $1,000 a plate, you know, charcuterie boards at fundraisers. It's, you know, it's literally like the Ojo-san. The that's like the male version of that. Listen to that.
Gained it back.
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
He's look at that one. He has his dinner spoon on the wrong side of the plate.
But 87 days of not being with my family, for defending myself and being taken advantage to, being used for a cause by by John Pierce and Lynn Wood, trying to trying to
White gloves? Because my fucking hands are cold.
raise money so they can take it for their own benefit, not trying to set me free.
So you think they could have raised the money for bail faster, but they didn't?
I believe sometime in September 5th, I want to say, they had over $1 million, and bail was set and able to be posted in September. So they could have had me sign the waiver for extradition and had me back in Wisconsin, and I could have been bailed out by mid-September. But they wanted to keep me in jail until November 20th.
What was that like?
It was scary in jail. Like, you had to watch over yourself, and not a lot of people liked me in jail until the funny thing is, a lot of people didn't like me in jail, but they got to hear like my story and they got to understand me. Like, he's actually a really decent person. I'm not this person that the media painted him out to be.
Okay, hot take. Who else here would love to watch an animated miniseries of Kyle Rittenhouse going to the state jail and befriending the inmates and like sharing info? You know what I mean? Like at first, I can see the cutaway, you know, where like Rittenhouse is like in like the cafeteria and there are some really like big adults like glaring him down, and you know, but then like there's a like a flash cut, and then it's like the next day and they're all like reading books and the prisoners are like, yeah, you know, so this is what now, and maybe it comes out, this is why Kyle Rittenhouse made the comment about how much harder it would be to get proper prosecutorial conduct as a person of color, you know? Like Kyle Rittenhouse is like, yeah, I'm really, you know, like really worried about the trial. And like one of the guards is like, yeah, you know, imagine how much worse it'd be if you were black. And Rittenhouse was like, well, what do you mean? We have a fair system. And then you have kind of like the little jingles he teaches. Yeah, like that. Come on. People in chat who are mad about this, by the way, you all have sticks up your ass. Oh yeah, I love Vosh, the edgy streamer, but when he's edgy in a way, which this isn't even fucking edgy, by the way, but when he's a little edgy in a way I don't like, well then I pearl clutch like crazy. Come on.
And it was scary, but I was able to make friends, I'd say, acquaintance in jail, and like play spades, card games with them.
Amazing. So you're in jail for 87 days. Do you have a sense of how your case is being talked about in the outside world?
Not really when I'm in jail, but once I am bailed out, John Pierce said I was in an unorganized militia, which is just blatantly false. I didn't know what a militia was.
Wait, your lawyer said you were in a militia?
John Pierce said that, and it's blatantly false. I didn't know what a militia was until after the fact, until November like 25th, after I was watching some of the interviews he did. I was like, I'm not in a militia. I don't know what.
That is a very interesting move for a defense attorney to make. When I say goes down for militia vigilante, I mean like like euphemistic, like you've got a group of lads who are like palling up together. Not in the legal sense. I mean, if you're saying like, yeah, he's in militia, you're insinuating or outright stating that he is literally in like a militant organized, which again, great defense attorney business right there, you know. Fantastic stuff.
That is.
Wait, what's the takeaway here? Is Kyle a good lad who was led astray or what? No. It's not about... Look, Kyle Rittenhouse is going to be a big media figure, whether you guys like it or not, okay? There were literally congressmen, popular congressmen, arguing over which one of them would get him, okay? He's going to be prominent. Now, in the world in which he is prominent, okay, you can take two roads, okay? You can screech like children, he's a murderer, he's the worst, and just move that and keep doing that until you die. You could be like your average liberal. Or you can try to get a grasp on his behavior, given how much shit has happened to him, which it has, given how much attention has been, given to him. I feel like there's something potentially interesting could take place here, with regards to people's perceptions of him, with regards to conservatives' expectations being met or let down. But you can't participate in this process unless you're willing to sit here and watch the fucking interview, okay? Now, my bet is that he just goes the standard far-right path because the far-right adores him. They're the ones who are going to try to talk with him. He's going to be an intern for a congressman, whatever. You conform to the social groups that you're in. But there is a world where that doesn't happen, and I feel like we increase the likelihood of that world manifesting by just being aware of what he says. Okay? Is that fine?
Sorry to laugh.
And I was like, what the heck? And I'm like, no wonder people are saying I'm in a militia. It's because he painted that narrative, which he should never have gone there.
Well, yeah, it's untrue.
Exactly.
Were you surprised so I haven't heard you mention race at all in this conversation. You said you saw your community on fire.
He said black and
to
white.
Help. You asked a business owner if you could help. Were you surprised to see this framed as a racial story?
Okay, so obviously he's going to say he's not a white supremacist, which A, I don't think he's being duplicitous when he says that, and B, everyone would say that. So that's not so much what I care about. What I care about is I wonder if he's going to say something which suggests he understands why people might think or infer white supremacy or racist intent from the whole, like, showing up at a BLM protest fully armed, etc., especially given prior comments, what was it when he called them, like, thugs or what? Wasn't there some post from a while back, like something like that, hanging out with the Proud Boys when he got off bail, that kind of stuff. I wonder if he could understand that, or if not. Why are you trying so hard to sanitize it? You guys are fucking insane. Oh my god, I genuinely despise you people. Holy shit, sanitize it, guys. If you want, okay, you can just go on Twitter and cry about him forever, okay? I feel like my assessment of his speech has been fairly reasonable so far. I don't think I'm being any more charitable than is reasoned. Your issue isn't charitability. Your issue is that you don't even want me to watch this. You want me to be quiet and only react when he says something bad because you're a fucking ideologue. Because you have no business participating in anything even approximating controversial political analysis, okay? This is the problem that I have with every other fucking sectarian lefty group. It's that they're all analytical when it comes to one thing, and then the moment it comes to something remotely controversial or this, that, or the other, you can't engage in good analysis if you are or if you are driven to arrive at certain conclusions, okay? Every position that I have held on the Rittenhouse-ing, okay, I believe I was reasonable to have held at the time that I held it. When the first thing happened, I didn't think self-defense was likely, but trials bring about new evidence. And as the evidence was brought about, I felt, oh, okay. I didn't really talk about it that much because I don't care to follow ongoing cases. Morally, my position's been fairly consistent. You go back 18 months or whatever, however fucking long ago it was. My issue was clearly with the logistics of self-defense relative to other people's perceived need for self-defense and whether or not you should be there in the first place. My criticisms stand, but we live in a society, and it's a society we share with Rittenhouse. So if you want to cry about it, you can go on Twitter and join the thousands of other people who will be clipping out bits of this and framing it as though I'm, like, pro-Rittenhouse or something, okay? You can go join them and go, I used to sub to Vosh, but now I don't because he's a conservative now. And I know that because the day after he was arguing in favor of like communist economics to a libertarian and arguing in favor of like radical gender abolitionist pro-queer advocacy the day before. And then he became a conservative when he defended Rittenhouse. And that's my interpretation of this because I'm an infant and all I can hear is keys jangling and all I can see is Playmobil crib toys dangling above my face as I reach out to touch them. Okay, sorry. That's all I'm saying on this. Chat, you've got everything, okay? That's all the antagonism I've got, okay?
To be honest, Tucker, this case has nothing to do with race. It never had anything to do with race. It had to do with the right to self-defense.
What are you? We're not done yet.
What a sweet kid. I think that comes through loud and clear. Playing
Shut up!
I'm not a racist person. I support the BLM movement. I support peacefully demonstrating.
Hey.
And I believe there needs to be change. I believe there's a lot of prosecutorial misconduct, not just in my case, but in other cases. And it's just amazing to see how much a prosecutor can take advantage of somebody. Like, if they did this to me, imagine what they could have done to a person of color who doesn't maybe have the resources I do or is not widely publicized like my case.
What did you
you can be mad if you want, but that statement right there, it puts him above literally every person who works at Fox and every conservative commentator who's ever defended him in this case. Whatever you want to say, that statement single-handedly puts him several tiers above all of them. So you can, I mean, is it a hyper-cynical lie? I mean, it could be. I don't know if he's lying or not, but it's an interesting thing to say if you're aiming to coast on a wave of conservative approval for the rest of your life.
Make of the President of the United States calling you a white supremacist?
No response from Tucker.
Mr. President, if I could say one thing to you, I would urge you to go back and watch the trial and understand the facts before you make a statement.
That's not a small thing to be called that.
No,
that was a surprisingly measured. What take are we referring to here with Biden? I feel bad that dumb fucks will say you have D takes. No, Destiny's take is that it's morally obligatory to go out and mow down black people. I think he got banned from Twitch from that or something. Not the same position as me, so no relationship really. He called him that in an ad. He implied he was a white supremacist, right? Let me see if I can find that because I've heard people reference that. Sounds similar to your take. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Biden Rittenhouse ad. Can I keep up? Okay, here we go. I think it was this one.
So, race up steps when
this probably isn't. It can't be copyright. It's a political ad.
They run when they could walk. Race up steps when others take it slow.
Oh my God!
When Joe Biden's president, America is just going to have to keep up. We won't have to wait to deal with COVID-19. He's already got a plan. Won't have to wait for a president on the side of working families. He's from Scranton. No one.
It's amazing how there's nothing more blackpilling than going back and watching political ads after they've won, you know? You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, dude, we're feeling it.
Has to tell him Wall Street didn't build this country. He knows who did.
How do you have downvotes?
We're a nation that's been hit hard by this virus.
Maybe
but
because
Joe
I have YouTube
Biden
Premium?
knows when you get knocked down, you get up off the mat.
It's this one? Yeah, okay, hold on. Okay, wait, here we go. There's no other way to put it. The president of the U.S. refused to disavow white supremacists on the debate stage last night. Okay, hold on.
To condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland. Are you prepared?
Is that it? Wait, that wasn't Biden, though. That was the language of... That was the language used by the Fox News commentator. Wallace, yeah. Chris Wallace. Well, but he said it. What? Yeah, should they have just edited around the moderator? Was there more than this? But that's the image the team chose? Yeah, when saying what we saw in Kenosha, of course Rittenhouse is what people are thinking about. Yeah. I mean, The ad is saying Rittenhouse
as we saw in
is a white supremacist. While I understand the implication and acknowledge that it's there, this just feels like an incredibly indirect and not super pernicious way of invoking that imagery, you know? Like I would expect like far worse than this, you know? Like, yeah, like he said in Kenosha. I mean, that obviously is in reference to Kyle Rittenhouse. I don't think, yeah.
Need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland.
If anything, isn't this Chris Wallace saying that Kyle Rittenhouse has to be either a militia member or a white supremacist? Because it's obviously referring to Rittenhouse. That's clearly what's being talked about. So if anything, Chris Wallace is the one who's putting him in either of those boxes. And this was for the debate stage. Okay, look. That just doesn't seem too direct to me. Maybe Biden said more things. Biden teams chose the clip and chose the image. Yeah? That doesn't have anything to do with what I'm saying. Wallace's words did the work there. All they did was put Rittenhouse's image when they were referring to Rittenhouse by violence in Kenosha. To me, this is just fairly indirect.
It's actual malice, defaming my character for him to say something like that.
Assuming we're only talking about that ad, I think that's ridiculous. If Biden said in other contexts, other stuff, that we could assess the value of that, but
I mean, why do you think, and it's not simply Biden who said that, it's a lot of people on television have said that, dozens of people have said that. I'm sorry to tell you in case you haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's actually quite hysterical how nobody can go back and look at the facts of the case. He crossed state lines, false.
Oh, that's true, actually. Rittenhouse's take on this is actually more left-leaning than Destiny's. Rittenhouse said that he may have faced more prosecutorial misconduct if he was black. Destiny said that if Rittenhouse was black, he wouldn't have even been charged by the prosecution because the criminal justice system hates charging black people. He actually said that on Twitter.
White supremacist, false. None of that is true. And the lies that they can just get away with spreading is just sickening, and it's a disgrace to this country.
I couldn't agree more. So before this, I mean, you're 17 years old, so you're probably not, watching cable news all day or, deeply into politics, or maybe you were. But did you know how dishonest media coverage of events could be?
I didn't. I've never seen something so polarizing in my life when it's obvious self-defense. If you look at the case, you look at the facts, no matter what your opinion is or where you stand, this wasn't a political case. It shouldn't have been a political case. It was made a political.
When people talk about like the case and the facts making things evident, like you do realize that the facts only came about in a trial that started like 3 weeks ago, right? Like, because the Kenosha thing happened like mid 2020. The facts were laid out, assembled, and argued there. The facts were already there. Okay, wait, hold on. Making statements on the totality of the facts related to a ongoing case before the trial is wildly irresponsible. You cannot make the argument like, dude, you say we didn't have all the facts. Yeah, we did. Here are the facts we had at the time. How the fuck do you know more won't be found in discovery or more won't come up in the trial? You have no fucking idea. You saw what you saw, and you arrived at your decisions beforehand. And you're just, what are we mad at here? Due process? He crossed state borders. Why is he insisting he didn't? Lol. Does he mean like not with a gun, or like he was already in there? I don't know. It's the state borders thing was never like the hinge on which any moral judgment lied. It sounds like he hasn't had media training. Oh yeah, he sounds like a nervous kid.
Case. This had nothing to do with race, and the ways people are twisting this is just sickening.
I think a lot of people watching have reached the same conclusion, and they would like to see you help make this better by holding some of these liars to account. Do you plan to do that?
I have really good lawyers who are taking care of that right now. So I'm hoping one day there will be accountability for their actions that they did.
Okay, so you're
depending on the language they use, he might get obliterated here. For judgment, for statements made on public figures, you need the actual malice standard. It needs to be it needs to be shown that you knowingly lied. When it comes to a claim like a person is engaged in white supremacist violence, how could you possibly find out that they did so? How would they? That would be very, very difficult. He's only a public figure because of the media though. And wait, rack attacks. That's two stupid things I've seen from you. Wait, hold on. Literally, what is that? Yeah, the media is the reason why most people are public figures who are public figures. Like, yeah, of course. Yes. Hold on. I exonerate you. I love you. Go with my blessing.
You're intent on you're not going to let that
go. Like I said, really good lawyers are handling that.
Yeah. So during the trial, was there ever a point where you thought, despite the fact you had all this video evidence on your side, bolstering your story, did you ever think, I might go to jail for the rest of my life?
That was a thought I had every single day until I got the not guilty verdict.
Really?
It was because are you aware who Joellen Demetrius is?
Yes.
So Joellen selected my jury, which she did an amazing job, but you still have that feeling in your stomach and not to where like, what if somebody snuck their way onto my jury to come?
What about the video of Kyle saying he wanted to kill protesters that was thrown out? Shouldn't that be considered premeditation? Wasn't it like looters? He saw people like looting a store and he was like, if I had my gun, I'd shoot them or something. I don't think there's not an explicitly racial element to that, only an implicitly racial element. The thing that frustrates me is like, this has always been a nuanced conversation, but it's so quick, it's so easy to essentialize, okay? So like, let me describe an abstract person to you, okay? Like, let me describe like a hypothetical person to you, okay? If that's possible, okay? So we're in the midst of unprecedented racial protests, and a young person who is conservative and idolizes police, who said they want to gun down looters, acquires a firearm to go join other vigilantes in a patrol of an area where they know there will be protests or riots, and in doing so they kill people. What I'm describing to you right now with that information laid out is something which I think a reasonable person could fairly say, this is at the very least like in line with white supremacy. Now, obviously, a template by which we make fair inferences doesn't mean that's like always going to be the case 100% of the time. It's just like a reasonable assumption. If you want, you can go look back through your history books and find plenty of stories of people who disrupted civil rights protests back during the Civil Rights Act or during the movement, people who shot civil rights protesters, people who got into fights, and oftentimes they'll be described as white supremacists or anti-civil rights types or what have you. Now, do you think for every one of those people they got a statement on record from that individual saying, yes, I am a racist? Probably not. Probably not the case. We have to make inferences when it comes to people's behavior, and we update those inferences as the behavior becomes more clear, more evidenced. That's what inference is. The more information you have, the clearer a picture you have of what it is you're talking about. That's why I stand by my statements at the beginning. At the beginning, whatever, 18 months ago, I said, yeah, I'll call Kyle Rittenhouse a white supremacist or whatever. Yeah, sure. Because I think that given the information available at the time, that was an extremely fair inference to make. Now, I don't think that's necessarily a fair inference to make, but I think the decision-making process in both cases was valid. Do you guys understand that? Now, could he be like a racist? Yeah, of course he can. There's not really any way of proving that one way or another. But I'm trying to describe to you how I treat this or how I update these. Anybody who takes issue with what I just said, or any communities, is fundamentally anti-intellectual. The type of community that will adopt emotionally held inferential beliefs and refuse to change them because they're incapable of updating their beliefs and acknowledging that they're capable of changing them. That's anti-intellectualism. That's bad. You shouldn't do that. There's never anything wrong with updating your perspectives Not to say he's like necessarily not racist. Again, you can't really know, but the okay sign Kyle purposely gave for the picture with that guy, yeah, that's pretty fucking bad. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to add that to my abstract hypothetical person. And then, after he gets out on bail, the person who killed people at a civil rights protest meets with a white supremacist militia and does a white supremacist dog whistle at the camera while taking. Yeah, I feel like my inferences are, feel like the blurry picture that I got. But hey, sometimes it can seem as though additional information causes your inferences to change, when in reality, they're the one that has changed. It's not like we're getting a increasingly sharp view of a single picture. We're getting a sharper and sharper view of a video that changes with time. It's possible. There are so many factors. I just want to respond to what's going on right now. Kyle Rittenhouse said Lynn Wood put him up to all that. If that's the case, that's fucking funny. Dude, Lynn Wood was such a conservative darling for such a long time, and she's like fucked them on this. Oh my god. Let me see. I believe it. Lynn Wood is freak. Let me see. Yeah, I'm your defense attorney. Here, take a photo with the Proud Boys and do the okay. Let me see. Rittenhouse said it was Wood and another ex-lawyer, John Pierce, who arranged for him to meet members of the Proud Boys in a Wisconsin bar in January. A photo of Rittenhouse and the Proud Boys shows the teen making an okay hand sign, which some believe is a symbol of white supremacy. Rittenhouse said the photo was one of the reasons he decided to fire Lynn Wood and Pierce, who were putting me in situations with people I don't agree with. God damn! And later, White House press secretary Jen Psaki said the photo was one of the reasons Joe Biden referred to Rittenhouse as a white supremacist. Wait, when did Joe Biden directly refer to Rittenhouse as a white supremacist? The term referred to here, is that really referring to that ad? Is there not a direct in a tweet? Why would you show me that? Give me the information. Hold on. Biden calls Rittenhouse white supremacist. I thought that one video was not sufficient. Okay. Rittenhouse said Biden defamed his character. On what grounds? What the fuck is happening? I hate you guys. This is on you guys. Acquitted of murder. What did you make? Where's the... No, wait, it is just this debate clip. That's the referring to? Okay, that's fairly indirect. Really? Apparently referencing a video cited a clip from the debate in which the guy from Fox News implicitly referred to Rittenhouse as okay, yeah, okay. You stop watching the video like halfway through, maybe he does later. No, I don't think so. Where was the clip again? Nope, that's it. Okay. He's referencing Joe Biden being asked about that on the ground by reporters. If somebody has a clip of it, just shut up. I don't care anymore. I don't care. Joe Biden is probably racist too. I don't care. Fuck all of you.
Convict me. So that was something that always went through my head. But I know where I stand, and I know I defended myself.
Were you surprised by the verdict?
I wasn't. I thought they came...
So what exactly you're saying, that he's better than most conservatives, but he still had poor decision-making? The poor decision-making is a fact as far as I'm concerned. No, I don't think he should be charged with manslaughter. That would be double jeopardy. Is he better than most conservatives? I don't know. He made a statement that was better than most conservatives would make on a similar subject, but I'm interested in what he has to say because it could be politically advantageous for us to be aware of his political positions in the future. That's it.
To the correct verdict, because it wasn't Kyle Rittenhouse on trial in Wisconsin. It was the right to self-defense on trial. Right. And if I was convicted, no one would ever be privileged to defend their life against attackers. And thank God they came to the correct verdict of a not guilty.
Well, I don't agree with that.
So the media...
Okay. His future plans. Why he lost faith in the justice system. Hit me up.
So we're about 45 minutes into our interview with Kyle Rittenhouse, and the picture that emerges is of a working-class kid who sincerely... What do you think your life's going to be like after this?
I'm hoping I can live a quiet, stress-free life, and be free of any intimidation or harassment, and just go on with my life as a normal 18-year-old kid attending college.
So you're going to go to college?
Yeah, Kira Yoshikage energy.
I am in college. I'm a student at Arizona State University.
What I mean, are you going to go to campus and?
I think I am. I want to. It's a lot of things we have to look into, so I don't know for sure yet. But I do intend on going in campus and pursuing a career in nursing. I may change it. I've been looking into law. I may want to become a lawyer. I haven't completely decided yet.
That is getting Rittenhouse as your attorney in the future, dude. Rittenhouse defense attorney. There are so many TV shows. If he goes into nursing, that's almost like a post hoc alibi, since he said he went down to Kenosha to be like a medic. So it's like, yeah, I totally did here, and then he goes through fucking nursing school. He's like, yeah, see, that would definitely be a pretty strong commitment to that that narrative. If he became If he became a defense attorney, though, I don't know. With him going to college, fuck, how does that work, man? I could never imagine going to college with the kind of baggage. Yeah, just baggage. Fuck, that's so strange, The bullying would be fucked. Well, I imagine the problem isn't just the bullying, it would be the incredibly hyperbolic counter-bullying, right? Because there are going to be people who support him too. So it's not just being bullied, it's that because you're there, there's going to be just like this orbiting fight of people who will attack you, but people will like reflexively defend or like attack preemptively. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, that just sounds like a whole hassle. I have a feeling we're going to be getting news stories from Rittenhouse every like 3 weeks, Arizona State University party, Rittenhouse has punch dumped on his head, 6 weeks later, like, person attacks other person in fight over Rittenhouse self-defense trial while Rittenhouse watches and cries, just some shit like that. Oh, that sounds bad.
But I've been looking, I want to be a nurse, so I've been doing the prerequisites for that.
I think that's
interesting.
Enviable.
Do you think you can have that you can live peacefully in this country, unmolested?
I hope so, but I can't read the future. I'm hoping that people...
Wait, unmolested. Stay the fuck away from Matt Gates' internship program, then. That's my only advice.
We'll go back in, understand the facts, and be like, watch the trial, watch the prosecutorial misconduct that I believe happened, and realize that I was an innocent 17-year-old who was violently attacked and defended myself.
Because you wanted to clean graffiti and protect a car lot.
And apparently, a lot of people on the left, it's criminal to want to protect your community.
Do you feel like your life's been destroyed?
That's a little bit euphemistic. It actually can be criminal to protect your community, depending on how you do it. No, it doesn't matter. Even if it's your community, there are absolutely ways you can do that where it can be quite criminal, actually. That is a thing that can happen. The main thing that I've seen him use like loaded euphemistic language on is the self-defense thing. Actually, chat, am I wrong? That's actually the only thing. The only time he's used language that's trended towards conservative talking point is when he's talking about self-defense abstractly or the circumstances of his self-defense. Otherwise, I think his language has been pretty measured. If anything, he's giving me more the impression of a libertarian, a person who like is strongly committed to the, the self-defense bit, but otherwise is more measured. Again, no way of knowing, just
by this.
I feel my life has been extremely defamed by it. I don't think I would be able to go out and get a job.
Gonna offer him a job now? Yeah, wait, not only will I have Rittenhouse on my show, he can also what's a job? I have 2 editors. He can be the head mod of my Discord. Oh my god. Can you imagine? You can do that job from anywhere in the world, first of all. And second of all, can you imagine? Oh my god. Jesus Christ. He can be your Paul Joseph Watson type secondary guy. Maybe he can be the guy who just, whenever you say something emphatically, they're like behind you to follow it up by repeating what you said, you know? So if I ended something with like, that was the stupidest thing I've ever seen, he'd be like, that you've ever seen. Like, yeah, like the hype man, like from back, he would just like stand in that corner. He would laugh when I tell a joke. I'm just I'm just saying it would be career opportunity. I wish he would come on your show. Oh, I would move mountains to have Rittenhouse on my show. Absolutely. There's like no chance of that happening because he's probably getting interview requests from everywhere. But I would absolutely try. Yeah.
Not have to deal with harassment, but I'm at a place now to where I have to have people with me because people want to kill me just because I defended myself, and they're too ignorant to look at the facts of what happened.
Do you feel the threats?
I do. I see some of the threats, some of the things people say. It's absolutely sickening.
Are you confident that the government will protect you from these threats? Because that's, of course, the government's job.
I hope so, but we all know how the FBI works.
Yeah.
Wait, what is that? Wait. You can interpret that in a few ways. You know what I mean? No, I don't.
I mean, looking back,
He seems a little mature. I mean, he is
a year and a half, less than even.
18.
This is not the life that you planned, obviously.
No, it is far from the life I planned. This is something that I wish never would have happened, but it did, and we can't change that. But how?
Okay, wait, hold on. I do think this is a preferable thing to say to saying, you know, I wouldn't have had things be any other way. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that like bravado, that posturing, that like moral, the moral steadfastness that people throw out sometimes. Yeah.
It's been so, how polarized it became is absolutely sickening.
Yeah.
Like, right or left, people using me for a cause that should never have been used as a cause.
Right or left?
I read that you're not going to stay in the Midwest.
I'm not. I'm going to find somewhere to live. Before this, I actually wanted to move to Naples, Florida, and then this happened.
Florida.
But I don't know where I'm going to go. I'm going to go lay low and live my life and enjoy it.
Why are you so calm?
I'm a naturally calm person. I find it to be a problem when people are overreacting because things are out of our control.
Take a lesson, chat. Chat, you could all learn from this, okay? Adopt the Rittenhouse Zen.
So I try not to deal with that.
Huh. I mean, just for the...
Believe me, on the inside, I'm freaking out.
Well, you must be. I mean, for the record, you just got acquitted.
Yeah.
I mean, like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing I noticed, that you seem very calm. You don't seem like someone who's just been through, had his mind blown.
Yeah, on the inside, I'm freaking out, but the best thing you can do, you freak out, everybody else freaks out. It's like a chain reaction.
Yes.
So the best thing I can do is stay calm.
Do you feel like...
Is it bad if I feel bad for Kyle a bit? It's easy to be calm when you can get away with killing people via bullshit self-defense. Oh, dear. Hope you guys are doing okay. You guys, I mean, since you're clearly the ones suffering the most over here. No, I've done my rant. I've done my rant. I've done my rant. I've done my rant.
Like you've been watched over?
I believe God's been on my side through the beginning.
Well, it has to come up eventually if you're religious, right? And then there's this new one, which came out, what, 30, 40 minutes ago? The reaction from Chad is 100% your fault? Nah, I don't think so. But actually, frankly, I think that if I was in any other left-leaning community saying all of this stuff, they would be quite a bit more angry at me than you guys are. So you're right. I am responsible for my community's good reaction. Wait, are you what?
Hard to imagine you could have watched the.
What are you all memeing about?
Hard to imagine you could have watched.
What here was? Oh, you guys are so immature. Shut up.
Every shot.
Conduct, in my
Why he lost faith in the justice system.
belief, the
Prosecution. That's what he said. What did you think of the prosecution?
in my belief, the prosecutorial misconduct in this case is ridiculous. They knew I was innocent, but they still decided to bring these charges to make their name, to have a name. They wanted my head on their shelf. There was this FBI surveillance plane. Man,
unless there's some information I'm not privy to, I don't get this. That's literally their job. The prosecution's job is to that is their job. It is to prosecute you. They have to try as hard as they can. That's literally their job. That's, I mean.
I remind you, it is illegal to surveil U.S. citizens, but the FBI.
I really don't think that. What do we mean by surveil? There's like cameras everywhere in public. What's surveil?
I still had a plane up, and then they tried to twist it and say I was chasing down Mr. Rosenbaum.
Oh, shot
Never happened. And the funny thing is,
no shot of Reno.
We were not provided that drone footage until October, and they had it way before, and the FBI gave it to them, and they compressed that FBI drone video and gave it to us. They gave us a compressed version of that.
Okay, so this was a big thing during the trial. They wanted a mistrial over this, right? This is apparently there was some like incompetence that led to the defense getting a highly compressed version of the drone footage that was sent over. But didn't the previous defense lawyers have the HD version? So clearly the prosecution wasn't opposed to providing the HD video footage on principle. So yeah. This seems like mutual incompetence, frankly. I don't know. I don't know. The prosecution had an iPhone and sent it to the defense's Android phone. Seriously? Did they do it through a phone? I'm going to Roblox myself. We can't let shit like this be decided by boomers. They're Dropboxing off of a phone? Oh, wait, they did it through Gmail? Look, why not go the old-fashioned route and use a flash drive? Shouldn't that be the standard? A flash drive? It requires a physical transference of material, and there's no compression at all, unless there's some copying error. Right? Use a messenger pigeon.
That file. So they had a 4K drone that showed the shooting of Mr. Rosenbaum.
Yeah.
And then, do you know what Handbrake is?
No.
So Assistant District Attorney Cross had a software installed on his computer called Handbrake, and this is just speculation, but put two and two together, we get a decompressed I think it's 3 megabyte file of the drone video when they have an 11 megabyte, and he has.
No, that would. No, I don't. No. I do not think that they deliberately compressed the file to send it over when they were willing to send the HD version over to the previous defense. I just no. These are boomers. They don't know how to do anything. The prosecution didn't even know how to hold a gun responsibly. You think they yeah.
Handbrake installed on his computer.
Huh.
We got an extremely decompressed version of the drone video.
Yeah, Handbrake doesn't just compress files. They can also edit the type of file that Handbrake can do a couple things. Vosh, can you disagree? Can you explain why you disagree with the verdict? I don't think I said that I did. In a legal sense, I feel like whether or not the self-defense defense flies would be up to, you know, some degree of interpretation pertaining to whether or not the jury decided Rittenhouse put himself in that situation to the extent that it would nullify the self-defense claim. But law is often up to interpretation. I don't have like a very strong opinion on that. So yeah.
Video.
So, I mean, in a normal trial, I mean, that'd be grounds for a mistrial right there. I mean,
exactly.
You have to be provided the same evidence that the prosecution is provided by definition.
Mm-hmm. And another very, very, very disgrace in this government is with the FBI drone. They called the camera operator of that drone to testify. ADA Binger asked his questions, and then attorney Mark Richards, great attorney, phenomenal attorney, asked his questions. He asked about the tail number. The state objected, and they said he had a TUI letter from the state attorney, and we weren't able to ask him the tail number so we can submit our FOIA requests, which are still being appealed right now, so we can get the complete version of that night on the drone video.
I'm getting bored again.
He wouldn't give us the tail number. We weren't able to ask him what the tail number was because of the TUI letter that we got the day he testified that supposedly disappeared from attorney Natalie Wisco, another great attorney.
Keep in mind, though, he did say that if he was a POC, he would have experienced a higher degree of prosecutorial misconduct. So all of this is kind of contextualized, you know?
Email, it just completely magically disappeared from her email because the state said they emailed it, but we never got it.
So dirty. What do you think motivated Binger?
Assistant District Attorney Binger is
all right.
One of the prosecutors.
Shocking for you as a kid to realize the system can destroy someone who they know doesn't deserve to be destroyed just for political reasons.
That's no. I do not enable this. I don't buy this narrative.
It's sickening because this is a case that never had This is a case that has nothing to do with politics, but politics were brought into it for people's own agenda.
Hey, Sean.
Yeah, it's so the big warning signs I saw from this were his language concerning the trial, prosecutorial bias, and self-defense, all of which kind of relate to self-defense. Apart from that, his language was pretty measured, which is more than I expected. Yeah, also, of course, everything is politics, so it's not necessarily a fair distinction. But he went to Trump's house today. He went to Mar-a-Lago today, yes. Which is not surprising to me. He is a conservative, right? What questions would you ask Kyle? I think the main thing that I would want to talk to Kyle about is wondering if I could walk him through my thought process and see if I could get him to understand why some people on the left believe what they believe, you know? Not like, are you a Nazi or whatever, but like more like, do you understand how in like a really politically charged time, incidents like these are going to, heavily relate to this, that, or the other. And he could end up disagreeing with me, but I think it'd be interesting. Because my goal wouldn't be to get him to say like, you know, well, everyone who called you a white supremacist is correct in doing so. That wouldn't be the goal. It would just be like, do you understand how, given these circumstances, like this, there was never a chance of this not being political. This was always going to be contextualized as, you know, a conservative vigilante, going to protect the community from a civil rights protest, even though the Kenosha shit was just rioting at that point. That was always going to be the framing, not just on the fault of the media, but just generally, like that's how things would be contextualized. And I would also like to talk with him, I think, about how to protect your community, you know, like properly. I think you could get some interesting talk out of that. Anyway, this is not going to happen. There's no chance of this happening. He is being bombarded with interview requests, no doubt, from thousands of sources, almost all of them paid, I would imagine, and they're paying quite a bit more than what I could afford. So there's an interview with him saying, I don't want anything to do with the Proud Boys, and he didn't know that the people he was with were Proud Boys. Well, that's nice. I can believe that Lynn Wood would... If Lynn Wood was willing to basically steal money and keep him in jail longer for personal gain, the idea that Lynn Wood would, like, trick Rittenhouse into hanging out with Proud Boys to exacerbate the sort of far-right media, you know, buzzing... that makes sense to me. Yeah, that seems like a thing Lynn Wood would do. Here is the Bill Burr. He basically admits the right used him for political gain. Yeah. Lauren Boebert challenges Madison Cawthorn to a sprint. The winner gets Kyle Rittenhouse as the term. Kyle Rittenhouse, at least in the segments of the interview that we saw, did not indicate any interest in working for any of these conservative congressmen. Which is interesting because I feel like that would be a pretty, you know, promising potential career. They're also fucking groomery. Oh, they absolutely are. To the far right, Kyle Rittenhouse is just a money pit that they can snatch up and be associated with. Having Kyle on their team would just be a constant media, you know, attention seeking tool. Which is, I think it's quite disgusting. And since Kyle Rittenhouse indicated that the right has used him for political gain as well, it's possible he won't take the bait, which is impressive because it's, you know, it's a potentially quite a large opportunity, I think. Bill Burr on Kyle Rittenhouse. Okay, I guess we'll hear what Bill Burr has to say.
That fucking jerk off there, the kid from Illinois that decided to drive up into the fucking riot, that fucking crying he was allegedly, that is the worst fake crying I have seen since Miss New York. Remember that? What the fuck was that, Flavor of Love? And that girl called her out going like, oh my God, you're amazing. I've never seen somebody cry without any tears before. And she goes, that's because it's an inner cry, bitch. He was having an inner cry. He had a right to be there. It was open carry. He felt threatened. It was the fucking perfect murder. That might be enough to convince some people, you know. If the picture where he's wearing a shirt, it says free as fuck, and he's doing that stupid white supremacist thing. What? Oh, he's saying A-OK. I'm happy to be free. You know, not picking sides here, people. I'm just saying, you know what I mean?
Okay.
The same way you're looking at OJ being like, you know, that guy did that shit, you know.
All right, I'll just stop it there. I feel like we got the gist. Anyway, for those of you who are asking why we're taking a look at that Rittenhouse interview, it's so we don't sound like that. There we go. That was from a podcast, not from a set that he did. That's the goal, right? Burr was cringe before cringe was cringe. I like his voice. I like his raspy gravel, you know, sort of hyena. You know, I like that. I think. I don't know if that political perspective is going to convince anyone. But honestly, fucking whatever, okay? I'm going to get canceled on Twitter for having the audacity of saying that, you know, the Rittenhouse, you know, should be looked at with something more than immeasurable contempt.